What's going on with the MBTA? Parts of the Green Line are shut down yet again this week as the agency works to repair tracks and end slow zones. GBH News transportation reporter Bob Seay joins me now on the state of the fixes and the answers to your questions about the ever-troubled T. So, Bob, let's dive in on the Green Line and slow zones. What's happening there?
Well, we are beginning what will be a year-long project to repair all of the slow zones, some 170 along the T, and we're starting with the Green Line. Supposedly they're in the priority of need, so the Green Line apparently is especially needy because work was done last month. So people might be wondering, didn't we do this last month? Well, there's so much work to be done, actually, that this is why they're continuing. So
remind us what that work is that's being done.
Basically, they're rebuilding the entire system.
So they're fixing the new...
They're fixing the tracks.
Right,
they're fixing the ballast under the tracks. They're fixing the power systems and the signal systems.
Okay.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. And so people should just be checking to see wherever they are, what the latest is on the schedule for the Green Line.
Yeah, the MBTA has on its website an actual schedule for the entire year. And I think that's important to note because in the past, the T was reacting to either derailments or track problems or whatever. This is the first time they've actually had a plan to systematically fix what's wrong.
Okay. Is that something relatively new under Philip Eng?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So Eng says we're making progress.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Do we have a big picture now? You know, are we getting in gear on the rebuilding master plan?
I think it's going to take a while for the public to really see, but so far, the percentage of tracks that have speed restrictions have decreased from 21 to 16% just in the last month or so.
That might be cold comfort to some.
Well, right, but at least it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that follows work on the Mattapan line, on the Red Line, and also extensive work on the Green Line. And I think what you're going to see is gradually a reduction in the speed restrictions. People will begin to notice the trip is not as delayed as it used to be. And that's very important because it gives some hope to T-riders and also some encouragement to the management that their strategy is working.
But what about the grand plan? Is there a priority that they're working on right now? Green line slowdowns aside, is there a master plan?
There is. There will be work on every line over the next 12 months. So people's heads may be spinning. And I really have to keep attentive to the information coming from the T. But this is a systematic plan. So that's what's important, that as they progress, you will be able to see the speed restrictions reduced, and Philip Eng guarantees, or pledges, we should say, that by the end of 2024, all those slow zones will be gone.
So that is Philip Eng, the general manager of the MBTA. But what is the priority in the master plan? Do we understand you're talking about erasing slow zones? Is there something else that's going to be tackled?
The erasing of slow zones is really important because ridership is 50%. And people are not going to take the T until it becomes more reliable and faster. And so that's the immediate goal, is to do that so we can start to get more fare revenues, because being down 50% is pretty serious. And there's a question as to the fiscal future of the T. It has to increase its ridership.
It seems like they're going to need a budget, also a marketing budget, if you are tackling a 50% down ridership question. What's next? What is another priority that they plan to tackle?
Well, next month you're going to see work on the Red Line, but you're going to see work throughout the year. This Green Line closure right now is one of the longest, 23 days that they have scheduled. But past the MBTA, that is the top priority right now. Commuter rail seems to be running fairly smoothly. Its ridership is up to 90% or more of what it was. But the MBTA ridership is a lot of people have given up. And until they're shown that the service has improved, they're not going to get back on. So that's why this is so crucial, this slow zone fix.
So what's different now under Philip Eng? I mean, he's, 6 months or so under his belt, or more, actually, at this point.
Yeah.
What's different?
Well, you have Phil Eng coming from the New York transit system. And as like I said to you, in the world of public transportation, there's New York and there's everyone else.
New Yorkers would find that hard to believe. I can tell you, as a former New Yorker, it is amazing. But when you do get on the New York City subway, nowadays, coming from Boston, you say, oh, this is like space. But it's not. It's just some basic, It's
a huge system, all right? It's 10 times bigger than the T. Phil Eng was in charge of the Long Island Railroad, but before that he was also part of something called a subway restart program where they really tried to get the subway back on track. And he really is the first MBTA general manager in more than 10 years who has had actual experience running a large transportation system. And I don't think people realize that the people we've had trying to do the job may have had the best intentions, they just have not had the experience. Plus the fact that Phil Eng has brought with him 4 very experienced people that he worked with in New York to supplement what he is doing. So I think that's going to be a huge difference. When you change the management, have a real professional manager in there, you're going to start to see some changes.
So it took a series of disasters and almost the bottom, hitting bottom for this to happen.
Yes.
What was so difficult about this sort of institutional change?
Yeah, I think that they had to face, at some point, hiring a whole new general manager and management team. And for whatever reason, there was a lot of procrastination. But you go back to 2022, the famous Orange Line shutdown. We're going to shut the whole line down for 30 days. But when it's over, you're going to see there's going to be a change. Well, there was no change. There was nothing that was really done. What they discovered was there were more problems than they thought. So that, to me, showed that the management that was in place then was not really capable of doing it. And remember, the Fiscal Management Control Board sort of faded out after Charlie Baker left, and it took a while for Governor Healy to kind of reconstitute the governing structure. So that did not help. But right now we have a situation where before the MBTA didn't really, they knew the system was broken. They just didn't know how badly it was broken. And it's taken them months to really find out just what the problems are. And they needed to do that before they could begin fixing them.
Yeah. Well, I know they look deeply under the hood, but there are a lot of commuters who would have been willing to line up and offer opinions. So we know what's happening with the Green Line. What is the issue with the Red Line that you're describing?
Well, the same problem. It's all neglected.
It's not new track, though. Yeah.
Yes, it's new track. I mean, some of the power and signal systems on the T were 100 years old.
Okay. I have to tell you, we're going to try something new in talking to you. We've gone out into the street to ask what the commuters think. So we are going to present you with some of those questions. The first question is from Tian, who is from Boston. Let's listen.
I'm trying to understand why we have a set bus schedule for the T, and it still seems like they're running late on time.
Still seems like they're running late. What can you tell Tian?
Well, the bus system is a whole other situation entirely. There was a severe shortage of bus drivers after the pandemic, and it took the T a long time to hire people back, mostly because the wages were very poor. You had to work a split shift. You had to work in a morning shift and an afternoon shift. You had to get your own commercial driver's license. I mean, there was all kinds of impediments that were ridiculous. And they had to do away with all of those, and they had to basically double the wages of bus drivers. And in the last 2 to 3 months, voila, people are applying for those jobs.
So we may see change there.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to the next question. Jade from Boston.
My one question about the T is, are there going to be any more buses free, as in like the 44, the 22, the 29?
That's a really good question, and we won't know that answer for at least another month, probably. The 3 bus routes in Boston that Mayor Wu declared free almost 2 years ago, that pilot program is coming to an end in February. And there has to be a decision made as to whether the city is going to be able to afford to continue that free service or whether the MBTA will pick it up, which I doubt. So it's really going to be interesting to see what the mayor decides to do, because that service has definitely improved ridership. The question is, can the city afford to keep subsidizing it?
Okay, well, we will stay on that and all other things T-related. It's great to have you on. We hope to do that again, get more commuters talking to you, giving you their gripes, their questions, and you're the guy to answer. Thank you.
And hopefully giving them hope.
We need hope. All right,
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.